Welcome to the tutorial on how to stake DYDX. Today we're going to look at every single step you need to take to start staking. And then secondly, learning more about DYDX staking. Where do the staking rewards come from? What do you need to do once you have staked your assets? How do you redelegate to different staking providers? And also which staking providers to choose. Let's jump right in. First things first, we've written a full tutorial for you to follow yourself. And in this video, we will walk you through it. In short, when you stake your DYDX, you will have to be locking them up for 30 days. There is no minimum amount needed to start staking. We recommend that you use either a Keplr wallet or a ledger if you have. And in terms of tracking and monitoring all of the different staking rewards, we recommend for you to use our DYDX staking page, which you can find in the description below. So step one to start staking is to go to the Keplr DYDX staking dashboard. So you can just click on this link in the tutorial, and this will take you to the DYDX page on Keplr. To start staking, you'll have to scroll down and select a validator in this list. Now, we recommend using verified staking providers that have been verified by the staking rewards team. And if you'd like to know where you can find them, simply go to the DYDX staking page, scroll down to the validator page, and any one of these staking providers with a blue tick have been vetted and verified by our team. To learn more about that program, you can simply click on the VSP page and explore what that is all about. Now, jumping back to the dashboard, we are going to go with one of the verified staking providers, and I'm going to choose Luganodes for the time being. So as you can see, I can click stake over here, and here it warns you that when you start staking, it will be locked for 30 days. And if you would like to unstake, you'd have to go through a 30-day unstaking period. Now, this is an important thing to note because sometimes when the market gets really hot, you might not want to be staked anymore. If you were looking to sell your tokens, you would have to wait a full 30 days before you can do that. But in this case, we're going to lock it in. So as you can see, I've got 0.18 DYDX. So I'm going to select the max amount to start staking, or maybe let me make it 0.15. Next up, I just click stake. I sign the transaction, and then it gets processed. As you can see, my transaction was successful, and now I can actually track my staking rewards up here. Currently, I have 0.15 DYDX stake, and I have a remaining balance of 0.0317 DYDX. Now, in terms of unstaking, you can go here to the dashboard, click on staking, and you'll see that I'm currently delegated to Luganodes, which is a verified staking provider, and I can track and monitor my delegation over here. By clicking on this arrow, I can now either unstake, redelegate, or stake more. So firstly, if I would like to unstake, I just click on this button, I select max, I want to unstake the entire amount, and I click unstake. But once again, this will take 30 days to become liquid. However, if I wanted to redelegate that to somebody else, maybe another staking provider, I can click redelegate and choose one of these staking providers here. So I'm going to go with Cosmos Station next. And here you can see it's warning me that I'm delegating to a top 10 staking provider. So for the best interest of the network and for decentralization, I'm going to redelegate it to maybe one of the smaller ones. Let's take Instones, for example. I click on next, click on max, and redelegate. I'll have to sign the transaction again. I can just approve that. And as you can see, I have now been redelegated to Instones. Now, another important point to note is that once you have started staking, there are a few things that you'll have to do. And you can see that in our FAQs here at the bottom on the DYDX page. So your staking rewards need to be manually claimed on a per block basis. So it's best to do this maybe once a week or once a month, and this can be claimed within the Keplr dashboard. In terms of how the staking rewards are distributed, they are automatically distributed into your wallet. And so there's nothing you need to do besides claiming it. And then once again, important to note that there is a 30-day bonding period, and you should be aware of that when you decide to stake. So welcome to the DYDX staking page. The first thing you'll want to look at is the net staking flow here in the top right. So you'll notice that we have a 24-hour metric, 7-day, and 30-day metric. This is essentially telling you that over the last 30 days, there's been $39 million worth of DYDX staked. And over the last 7 days and 24 hours, these amounts have been staked. Moving on to the ROI 365 days. This is a nice way to track your earnings or your yield over the last year. So this is the price return for holding DYDX over the past year. This is the staking return if you had staked it for the last year, and this would be your total turn yield. So this is interesting because while you may have lost money by holding token, your overall gain or overall return is actually positive. And this can be used as a way to justify staking your DYDX. Moving down, you will notice that there is a reward column, a risk column, a general column, and a momentum column. Each one represents different metrics that we are tracking in that specific category. So to draw your attention to this column over here, you'll notice that there is a 16.54% nominal reward rate for staking DYDX. But on an adjusted basis, your real return is actually negative 59.44%. But you may ask, how do we actually calculate that? So I want to draw your attention here to the inflation rate. So the current inflation rate is 187.31%. Now it's important to note that the definition for this and how we calculate it can be found in the tooltip. So you can just hover over here, click on read more, and you'll be able to see how we actually calculate that. So with reference to DYDX, this is the change in the circulating supply over the last 365 days. So since 1 year ago, there has been an 187% increase in the circulating supply of DYDX. Now, with regards to the inflation from a validated perspective, it's important to note that DYDX does not have inflation to pay validators. The yield that you see from staking comes purely from trading fees. And so when you're looking at this inflation rate, keep in mind that it does not actually have to do with new tokens entering circulation through inflation, but it has everything to do with things like unlocks and other mechanisms through which tokens might be disseminated into the circulating supply. As we move down, you'll be able to look at some of the historical data and specifically look at specific metrics that you might be interested in. So for example, if I want to see how stake DYDX and reward rate work together, I can see here that as the stake DYDX goes up, the reward rate doesn't necessarily go down. And that's because the mechanism in DYDX has to do with the trading fees that are generated. So the more trading fees that are generated, the higher your APR. While it does get shared amongst more stakers, if more tokens are staked, it does not necessarily mean the reward rate would go down. For example, in Ethereum. As we move down, you can start playing around with the staking calculator. So how this works is you select your asset, which in this case is DYDX. You can choose your staking provider, and you'll notice some of these have blue ticks. Those are staking providers that have been verified by Staking Rewards. And so from our perspective, they are deemed as trustworthy and reliable to stake with. So I'm going to choose Lavender 5 nodes here, for example, and then I can also input the amount of DYDX I'm looking to stake from a token standpoint or from a US dollar standpoint. And then I can adjust my staking time. What is my expected holding period? And then what do I expect the price to be in 1 year? So if I'm expecting a $30 price 1 year from now, I can see what my total reward would be by holding the token, but then also by staking it. And as we move down, you'll see that we can actually adjust the staking scenarios. So if you think that the staking ratio will increase over time, as you expect more people might stake in the coming year, let's make a suggestion that maybe end up at 28% in 1 year's time. I can expect the reward rate to come down. But if I also expect the exchange fees to grow, the reward rate will go because the staking APR is a function of the total daily fees that are being generated. As we move down, you'll be able to see different staking providers that you can stake with. Now, the nice thing about this table is you can sort it and filter it by different things that you might be interested in. So if we had to look at net staking flow over the last 7 days, we can actually see that Cosmos Station, EcoStake, Stakecraft are first in that regard, and you might be interested in staking with them, or you could just filter it based on the fee and maybe go with those that have the lowest or most reasonable fee for you guys. Once again, it's important to note that all of these staking providers with a blue tick have been verified by Staking Rewards. And if you're interested in learning more about what that verification entails, you can click on this tab and learn more about the Verified Staking Provider Program. It's a way for us to vet and verify these staking providers. They voluntarily come to us and we will do a full verification covering different things like their business operations, security setup, and reliability. And then we also give them a value added rating. And that has to do with the value that they're bringing to the ecosystems in which they are running nodes. Next up on the page is the validator page. So here you can actually monitor what the reward rate is for running a validator. You can learn more about what the minimum stake is to start staking, and then also what the lockup time is. And if you're interested in running a node, you can click on this button over here, and it will take you to the documentation on the minimum requirements needed to set up a node. Next up, you'll see a bunch of FAQs and links about DYDX. So this is a great way for you to, number one, learn how to stake, but secondly, once you have staked, what are the next steps that you need to do? So you can see here that you'll have to manually claim your staking rewards. You'll see that it is automatically distributed. However, you still need to claim it. And we'll also guide you through choosing DYDX validators and also learning more about how the staking rewards on the network are generated.